Hey guys, so in this video I wanted to talk about my 2002 Chevy Astro camper van that I converted myself and actually lived out of for about 6 months. So in the biz this is called a no build, which means that everything in here is fully removable and I can just use it as a regular van if I wanted to. So after I graduated university, me and my girlfriend at the time went on this major road trip across America for 3 months, and it was a really amazing trip. But I kind of realized that there's definitely a better way to do this. I didn't have a car that could make it at the time, so we took her '06 Accord. And yeah, when we got back, I started looking more into these vans. Her dream was to take a road trip to Alaska, which is pretty intense. And yeah, I wanted a van that could definitely make it on a whim's notice. If anything in this build seems a bit over the top, that's why everything has to be Alaska spec. So I wanted a no build because I also use this van to pick up drift spares and just like generally doing other stuff. I'm 6'1", and it was pretty hard to find a platform thing that would be able to stow away, but this one fits me great. Everything will be linked in the description. This is a Hest foamy. I got this used from REI for like $200, and it's a really great mattress. These things are made in America, and it's soft, and it's most importantly warm. I will say I lived out of this van during the hottest months of summer, and also when it's like cold as in Idaho. I used to have sheets for it. I got some. I didn't really like them, so I'm in between sheet sets right now. So it's currently summer, which means I don't have too many blankets. So one of the challenges that I didn't really think about was getting this thing to not slide in the middle of the night. You're not always on super flat elevation, and the way things go, this tends to slide inwards. So yeah, I have that bungee cord and a few other bungee cords holding this down. So these Nomadix towels are really good, like camping towels, and they've been really useful in this setup specifically because they dry out super quick. I also keep a thing of pepper spray just by the bed just in case, and yeah, other safety items in the car as well. So because of the wheel well, there's a little bit of a gap right here. I went ahead and put this pillow right here to cover up that gap, and yeah, it works pretty good. So when I'm chilling and just like reading or something and just like passing time, I usually sit up against this wall, and it's been fun. Thankfully I have enough leg space here. Like even like sitting at a 90-degree angle, there's still enough leg space for me, and yeah, it's pretty comfortable. So these USB fans have been really good. I have a big one and a small one. I will say the small one's kind of, but I really like the big one. These things have this, they're battery powered, so they have the fan of course, and then they have the light. The light is super useful at night. For some reason the small one doesn't go warm, only the big one goes warm, so I don't really like the small one. At night I would just hang it up against these hooks like this, and there's plenty of hooks around the car. And yeah, I don't really drive like this because they whoosh around a lot, so I just have my backpack right here. I don't know, just regular backpack. Here's where I keep my sponge, and I usually have my toothbrush in here too, but it's at my house right now. So because I don't really waste a lot of water, I tend to use these skin cleaning rags instead of like facial wash, and it's a little bit more expensive, but it's just one of the trade-offs of living in a car. Instant Vietnamese coffee, electrolytes, and like medicine. So this is dish soap. I'd be really surprised if you didn't know what dish soap was. This is a portable tea set. I'm sort of a dweeb who likes to drink tea, so yeah, I carry that with me. I leave my collapsible sink right here, and yeah, you just pretty much get water and then it drains at the bottom. This is from Walmart and it's like $10. So this is an EcoFlow Delta Pro. It's definitely the most expensive thing in my van by far. I mainly got this to cook off of and to live off of and to run the fridge off of. So yeah, I decided to just bite the bullet and get this. It offered the most versatile solution for me at the time. It's a 3600 watt hour lithium iron phosphate battery. Iron lasts way longer pretty much. It's super heavy, it weighs like 100 pounds, but you can get way more cycles out of these things than your typical battery. You can get an EV hookup. This is a type 2 or whatever EV hookup that plugs in right here. And then in California there's also like free EV charging. Every 3 days I would just go to the EV charger and charge it up for about an hour, and yeah, that's pretty much how I was able to power my fridge and all my cooking supplies. So initially when I moved into this car, I only had this smaller battery, and I realized that it's definitely not going to work with my mini fridge. You definitely need something bigger like this size to run a mini fridge for a few days. So now I just have 2 of them because I was using this one for a good amount of time. These are shop towels. I like them way more than regular towels. It's just a 5-gallon jug of water with a hand pump. There are also electric ones. I highly recommend tying it down so it doesn't shake around. So this is the faded mini fridge. So pretty much how this setup works is that I turn this on, press this, which is the 12 volt So I usually ran it at 30 degrees Fahrenheit from what I remember. And yeah, this holds a good amount of storage. I try to run the fridge as little as I can because they really do take up a lot of power. Once you get it cold, it takes up way less power, but just getting it there. This one takes about 30 minutes. This is a Yuhomi, which is more like a Chinese brand, but it's been fine for me. So on the hottest days, I get about 3.5 days of battery life, and on cool days, I get like a week. It really fluctuates and depends how much I run this. 24/7, I try to avoid, but yeah. Underneath the bed, it's just like first aid kit, running shoes. I just have my knife roll down there too. I found that a 2-knife setup has been plenty. This is a cleaver and this is a Japanese chef's knife. So this is underneath it. As you can see, there's plenty of space for way more stuff. I always try to run as light as possible, so yeah. I have a bucket right here. This is my trash bucket. I have other stuff in here right now. It's just like cleaner. I also have like a Gatorade bottle of some sort in case I need to take a leak at night. These are trash bags. Make sure you don't litter. I also keep a car jump pack right here. This has been super useful, just being like a car guy. So these are window covers. From the outside, it just looks like you cannot see into the van, but from the inside, you can definitely see these are just like custom made. My girlfriend at the time made these. These are just Reflectix panels, and then she took a stencil and stenciled it out and then cut out these Reflectix panels, and then we just put black duct tape on the outside of them, and you definitely cannot tell. I highly recommend using a solution like this so that people can't look into your car and see what's up. I thought I would be taking them up and down every night, but I ended up just like leaving them up all the time. It's been a really great way to insulate and privacy. I just have like a thing of brown rice. I like this brown rice because it tastes like white rice. These are the front panels. As you can see, they have these like bug things. I noticed that I got a fair amount of bug bites until I didn't put these like little bug things. I rolled down the window this much, and from the outside you can't tell that it's rolled down, and that's how I was able to get fresh air at night. This is just for the front, and this is like an electric pot which is used to reheat food. It just runs off of a computer cord. These cup holders are pretty useless, so I just like keep like a bunch of knickknacks. So I got this replacement console from AutoZone, and it's been really useful. This thing has adjustment points. Just have like Sharpies, pocket knife. This is a Civivi Vision FG, really useful. This is my Wuben X3 flashlight. How this works, it's like an AirPods case, and this thing has been super useful because it has a red light which doesn't reflect a lot, so I can use it at night, or if you just want a regular, definitely super useful. It also has a magnetic thing, so you can use it with a car hood. And yeah, when I'm not using it, turn it off and then plop it back on this charger so that it gets full again. So I got this dually off of Craigslist for $100. I managed to crack it at a parking lot in Chinatown in Seattle, which is why it's duct taped, but it works fine still. And yeah, as you can see, I can fit a lot of stuff up here. So my friend was getting rid of these duffel bags, and I noticed that they just like fit perfectly horizontally. I don't have clothes in them right now because I put them in my house, but pretty much just like hiking boots and like socks. So I got these milk crates at a dumpster by Dutch Bros, and they also fit too horizontally in this dually perfectly. So this is my kitchen in a box. I just have this cast iron pan. Just barely washed it. This pot, here's the induction stovetop. These use way less power than the traditional electric stovetop. Measuring cups, collapsible strainer, oven bags for marinating meats, measuring spoons, collapsible containers, a plate. This is the handle for this, which takes up way less space. I also have a cutting board right here. This is a cypress cutting board that works well with my Japanese chef's knife. So pretty much what I do is I would take that thing and turn it on its upside to create a table, and then this cutting board and this stovetop fit perfectly on top of it, and then I would take that cable from that electricity thing and then hook it up to this induction heater, and yeah, it was like a full-on kitchen on wheels. So I'd also use the Parks barbecues. Pretty much I would grill a bunch of meat. This is like my collapsible funnel for charcoal. You heat up the charcoal and you light it on fire, and then you throw it in the grill and you cook up meat, and you put it in the fridge and then eat it for the rest of the week. So this is just like my tool bag with all my standard car stuff. I have an impact, have like a breaker bar, socket wrench, like sockets. I really wish I got a Milwaukee or Makita. I ended up getting a DeWalt because it's on sale, and I kind of regret that. I also have a torque wrench as well and a tarp in case I need it right here. Spare fluids, engine oil, power steering fluid, you know, just like standard stuff. I also have this like little car jack that I got from Walmart for like $20. I use it with my drift cars and I just like brought it with me, and it's actually been really good. I was surprised at how useful it is. So I really prefer having this thing just instead of having to use like the crappy one that comes with the car. So this Astro has actually been converted to a 4-wheel drive van. So it actually has a transfer case out of a Chevy S10. I forgot to mention it, but also having these Dutch doors it's super useful. I have some really great memories just looking out the back of this thing while chilling in bed. I kind of scratched the van on a parking structure and I got scammed on Craigslist. Some guy said he could fix it with like paint, and yeah, live and learn, I guess. I mean, it looks pretty bad. LOL, it is what it is. So let's go ahead and take it for a spin. Boots right up. Taking off in the Astro. She has a Vortec V6 with a 4L60E 4-speed transmission. Like I said, this has been converted to a 4-wheel drive model. Normally these are either rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Yo, so I actually got an apartment in LA, so I'm currently moving all my stuff back there. Now that I've owned this van for about 2 years, I've gotten pretty acquainted with it over the years. I have driven back and forth to LA 6 times, I think, in this van now, and driven to Vancouver, Seattle, Idaho, Wyoming, like all over the place. So I've owned 16 cars, which is pretty ridiculous, right? I currently own 4. I have this van, an 03 Pontiac Vibe GT, which is my beater car, and then I have 2 Drift IS300s, and this is definitely a top 3 vehicle for me, like favorite vehicles that I've owned. I got it for $1,900, which is pretty insane, right? Just considering how much value I've gotten out of it. That's like 1 month's rent in LA. If you really wanted a 4-wheel drive van in America, you really don't have too many options. You get a Sprinter, you can import a Japanese van, but Sprinters are really expensive and they're really loud and kind of not super inconspicuous, which is what you want when you're trying to like live out of a car. The Japanese vans are cool, but they're kind of hard to get parts for, and they're not as big, and also the gearing doesn't really work as well for American roads. I wasn't really expecting too much when I bought it, but it's been a surprise for me because like I feel like people don't really talk about these too much in general, especially with the enthusiast community. I personally like absolutely loved owning it and driving it. My dream van would be a 2013 Mexico spec Hiace, but I'm not importing that until like the 2030s, 2040s. So this is the best that I think right now that I can do, especially for the price. This is my first American car. I've never realized how easy they are to work on. It's mostly like just Phillips heads and standard hex sockets. Super nice, convenient. In America, there's tons of these in scrapyards. There's tons of parts in scrapyards. The Vortec V6 has been super stout for me. It's not the fastest thing in the world, but she starts up every time. This is a frame on body vehicle, so it handles more like an old school truck than a typical minivan. And I personally really love that fact about it, that you have that trucky aspects. So the engine kind of comes into the cabin a little bit, so doing a tune-up involves taking out a lot of the dash, which is kind of annoying, just to change out spark plugs. You can hear the engine more than you would in other cars because it's like sitting right here next to me. The safety ratings on these aren't super amazing. On the 02 model and older, this van is using drum brakes in the rear, which is pretty annoying. On 03s and newer, they're using discs. So if you do a lot of brake jobs, you might want a 03 or newer. I read online that the fuel pumps tend to run a bit on the hotter side, so I avoided going beneath a half a tank on hot days. So if I were to live out of my car right now, I would highly recommend being as stealth as possible. You want to rotate spots, you want to cover up your windows with the blackout shades, and you want to make it so that when you park, you don't leave the car. So eat dinner somewhere else, and then go in when the sun